We're continuing on with lesson 7.3. We're graphing two inequalities on the same, one inequality on a coordinate plane. So we're on 3B. Ramona has $18. Sorry, let me zoom in. Ramona has $18 that she can spend on food for her dog. Dry dog food costs $5.50 per small bag, and wet dog food is $2 per can. Write a linear inequality that describes how many bags and cans of dog food Ramona can buy, and then list two possible solutions. Oh, if anyone needs a graphing calculator, bring me your phone. Okay, first we have to define our variables. So let's all say that dry dog food will be X, and then the wet dog food will be Y. Okay, each dry dog food is $5.50. So $5.50 times X. The wet dog food is $2 per can, so it's $2 for every Y. Leave some space, she can spend $18, so that'll be at the end. Okay, she can spend up to $18, so she can spend 18, so put your equal sign. And then she can spend less than 18. So if she has $18, obviously she can't spend more than $18. I'm also going to label X is the dry dog food. And then the Y is the wet dog food. Okay, we're going to have to graph this. And in the previous question, which I can't find my packet now, but the previous question we did slope-intercept form. So you can graph it by putting it into y equals mx plus b. The other way you can graph is with intercepts. So this one I'm going to do intercepts just so you can see that way as well. So we're going to do the x-intercept and then the y-intercept. Doing the intercepts is easy when it's in standard form. So when the x and y are on the same side, it makes using the intercepts easier. So the x-intercept, you'll recall, is blank, comma, 0. The y-intercept is 0, comma, blank. So we're going to use this equation, and we're going to substitute in 0 for y and see what x would end up being. So 550 x plus 2 times 0. 2 times 0 is just 0. So plus 0, I don't need to put that. Less than or equal to 18. And then we're just solving for x. So divide both sides by 550. And it's about 3.27, blah, 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 blah. So that means on the x-axis, it's going to hit the x-axis at about 3 1/4. So when I do my intervals, I need to make sure I hit like 4. So let's go have our intervals go by halves. So we always start with 0. And then I'm going to go by a half each time. I'm not going to write in a half though because it's going to get messy. So the first line will be a half. The next line will be 1, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 4. So my intervals went up by a half each time, but I did not write in every single one. The x-intercept is at 3 1/4. So find where 3 is. The middle is 3 1/2, so we don't want to go 3 1/2. We want to go half of the half, so we're going to go to 1/4. So 3 1/4, go ahead and put a dot at that x-intercept. Now we're going to do the y-intercept. So for the y-intercept, you're going to solve this equation with 0 in for x, and we have to figure out what y would be. So if I took this original equation and I plug in 0 for x, 550 times 0 is just 0. 0 plus 2y's is just 2y's. And now I'm trying to solve it for y. So divide this side by 2, divide that side by 2, and I get the y-intercept is 9. So on my y-axis, I need to hit 9, so I'm just going to go up by 1s. So we always start with 0. And when you get to 9, put a dot. Okay, remember the symbol matters. So on the front, when it's less than or greater than, it's a dotted line. When it has part of an equal sign on it, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, we use a solid line. So the symbol on this equation is less than or equal to, so since it has equal to, we're going to put a solid line. Okay, grab your student ID or a ruler, find something with a straight edge, and with a solid line, connect those two intercepts. Okay, when I have an inequality, there's always going to be shading. So I need to figure out where I need to shade. So this is where we use our test point. You're going to use a point that's not on the line. So I'm going to use 0, 0 since that's not on the line. So I'm going to test out 0, 0. I'm going to test it on the original equation just in case I made any mistakes. So I'm doing 550 x plus 2y's, and I want to know if it's equal or less than or equal to 18. So most of this, you should be able to do these test points in your head when it's 0, 0 a lot of the time. 550 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. So I have 0 is less than or equal to 18. Okay, then you have to think, is 0 less than or equal to 18? Yes, it is. Yeah, 0 is less than 18. So 0, 0, yes, is a point. So 0, 0 should be shaded in. So you're going to shade in everything underneath. If it's any of the inequality signs. So if it's any of these symbols, you'll always shade. If it's just an equal sign, no, it's just that straight line then. Okay, it also says to list 2 possible solutions. Because remember the question says how many bags of dry dog food and wet dog food can she buy and still be within her budget of $18? So for that, you're going to pick any points that are here in the shaded region. So for your solutions, you need 2 possible solutions. There's a lot of different solutions you can use. Anything that's in here. So maybe she can buy 1 dry bag and 3 wet cans. Because 1 dry and 3 wet is right here, and that's a point. Okay, you need 2 solutions, so pick another one. It can be on the line, because it's a solid line. You can pick a point from the line. That would be a solution. So I could do even like 0 dry and 9 wet. That's a solution since it's on the line. And then obviously you could have a lot more. Anything that's in there or on the solid line. If it's a dotted line, that does not count. That is not the solution. Okay, next example. It gives you a graph and it asks for the inequality. So the first thing I notice is this is a dotted line. So that should be a clue that it's either going to be a less than or it's a greater than. So if it's a dotted line, don't have your equal sign when you get your answer. Okay, we have to determine the slope, so pick 2 good points. So this point right here is 0, 4. And this point right here, 2, 4, 6, this is 6, 0. This is where we label them, x, y, x, y. Label the first point with sub 1s and the second point with sub 2s. Okay, go ahead and figure out the slope. Remember, slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay, calculate the slope there. And if you look at your line, that line is coming down. It should have negative slope. So when you're done, you should have a negative answer if you did it correctly. 0 take away 4 is negative 4. 6 minus 0, 0. Negative 4 over 6, that can be reduced. Negative 2/3 is the slope. And then the y-intercept, where does it hit on our y-axis? It hits it right there at 0, 4. And now we have to come up with the inequality. So what I usually do is I put it into slope-intercept first. Excuse me. Thank you. It's in y equals mx plus b format, because we'll know the slope in the y-intercept. Except we're not going to use equal to, we're going to use whatever symbol we're supposed to. So first I'm going to put y, I'm going to leave a blank where the symbol is going to be. It's going to be a less than or a greater than. I don't know which one yet. The slope is the m. The slope was negative 2/3. Put an x after the slope. And then we put in the y-intercept, the b. And the b is positive 4. Okay, I need to figure out what symbol goes here. Okay, first, you can usually look at it and assume what it is, but we will test just to be careful. So the shading is above the line, so I'm going to assume that it's probably going to be y is greater than negative 2/3 x plus 4. Okay, this is what I'm about to test though. So I'm going to test greater than. I still am going to test 0, 0 because that's really easy to plug in. When I test 0, 0, my answer should not work because 0, 0 is not shaded. So when I plug in 0, 0, I should get a false statement, and if I do, then yes, I know that my symbol is correct. So if I plug in 0 for y, 0 for x, negative 2/3 times x is 0. 0 plus 4 is just 4. Okay, is 0 greater than 4? No. So 0, 0 does not work, which that is the correct way. So that means this symbol is the correct symbol. So the correct equation was y is greater than negative 2/3 x plus 4. Okay, here, find the slope. They gave you the 2 points. Do y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So when you do the slope, negative 6 minus 0 is negative 6. 0 minus negative 9 is positive 9. And then that reduces down to be negative 2/3 again. And always check your line. It should be coming down. So as you can see, the line's coming down. That has negative slope. Oh, also note this is a solid line. And a solid line means we're either going to end up with greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So when we have the final answer, it should have an equal to on part of it. Okay, come up with the y-intercept. Where does our graph hit the y-axis? And it hits right down here at -6. Okay, then we're going to put it into slope-intercept. Y, leave a blank for the symbol that we have to come up with. The slope is -2/3. Then put an x. And then our y-intercept is -6. Okay, I'm going to assume it's under the line. So I'm going to just use my test, and I'm going to assume it's going to be y is less than or equal to -2/3 x minus 6. I'm going to use my test point of 0, 0. When I plug in 0, 0, if it does not work, then I know I used the right symbol. So 0, 0 should not work because it's not shaded. So 0 is less than or equal to -2/3 times 0 is 0. 0 take away 6 is -6. 0 is less than or equal to -6. No, that doesn't work. But that's what I want it to be. I want it to say no because 0, 0 is not shaded. So yes, my symbol is correct. If it worked out when it wasn't supposed to, then you just know to flip the symbol. Okay, go down to 4C now. Go ahead and figure out what's the slope of that line. Okay, first you have to figure out the slope. You get -2 for the slope. And then the y-intercept was at 0, 0. Because it hits the y-axis right there at the origin. So your inequality, y, leave some space, -2x. If you want to put +0, you can, or you can leave it off. Okay, here you have to come up with what you think it might be and do a test. So it looks like the shading is probably under, so I'm going to assume it's less than. It's dotted, and then the -2x. I don't want to use 0, 0 though. You don't want to use a point that's on the line because then it messes it all up. So use a point that's not 0, 0. I'm going to use something from the shading. So like I'm going to use this point right here. That's -2, -2. So I'm going to test out -2, -2, and when I finish it, it should be shaded. It should work if my inequality is correct with this less than symbol. So I'm going to plug in -2 for the y. I'm going to plug in -2 for the x, and I want to see if this is a true statement. -2 times -2 is +4. Is -2 less than 4? Yes, it is. And yes, it is shaded, so then I know that this is the correct answer. So y is less than -2x. Okay, there is another page to the notes that did not print, so I'm going to pass that out because we still have a few more to do. Okay, so looking at example 2b, this did not print on our notes earlier, so it's going back to graphing an inequality. So if I look at this inequality, I'm going to solve it just like I would if it was an equal sign, because I want to put this into slope-intercept form because I need to graph it. So graphing is really easy when it's in y equals mx plus b format. So I want to get the y by itself. So look at the side that has the y, get rid of the 21 first. Take away 21 is 0. These are not like terms, so don't put them together. I I need to get y by itself. Right now it says negative 3 times y. So to undo that, I'm going to divide by negative 3. When I divide by a negative with an inequality, I have to flip the symbol. Remember, we flip the symbol if we multiply or divide by a negative. So I just divided by negative 3, so right away go ahead and flip that symbol. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is just 1, so I have 1y. 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3, and then we have our x. Negative 21 divided by negative 3. A negative divided by a negative is positive. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Okay, now it's in slope-intercept form. We always graph the y-intercept first. So go to your y-axis, that's this axis, the vertical axis. Go find positive 7 and put a dot. Then we're going to use the slope. The slope is negative 3. However, when we're graphing, we like it to be a fraction. So the fraction for negative 3 is really negative 3 over 1. So your rise and then your run. So a rise of negative 3 means you're actually going down 3. And then a run of positive 1 means you're going forward 1. So go down 3 over 1, put a new dot. Do it again. Down 3 over 1, put a dot. Do that a couple times so you can get a nice straight line. Okay, before you draw your line, look at the symbol. The symbol, the original symbol or your new symbol, there's no equal sign on it. So remember, if there's no equal sign on it, we do a dotted line. So everybody grab your student ID or a straight edge or a ruler. You're going to draw in a dotted line because this means these answers actually don't work. If you get these answers, you're going to have your left and right side of your equation equal to each other, and that's not part of your answer. It can't be equal to. It's just got to be less than or equal to. Or I'm sorry, less than or greater than. Okay, so I have my dotted line there. Now I need to use a test point. 0, 0 is always easy to use as long as it's not on the line. So it's not on the line, so I want to see if 0, 0 works. Always use your original equation, just in case you made any mistakes to get to this one. I always say use that original one. So use 21 minus 3y is less than 9x. So 21 minus 3 times 0. So 3 times 0 is 0. 21 take away 0 is just 21. 9 times 0 is 0. Is 21 less than 0? No. So shade the other side of the line. So don't shade in 0, 0 because that's not an answer. So any points that are on that side of the line, those are solutions. Okay, I'm going to do the next one with you as well. Okay, we have to put this into slope-intercept to easily graph it. So draw a line going down. We want to get y by itself. So first thing I want to get rid of is this minus 14. Everyone should be doing work right now. So add 14. If you do it to one side, do it to the other. That's the addition property of equality. Negative 14 plus 14 is 0. Okay, to get y by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is just 1. I have 1y. Okay, in front of this x, even though there's no number there, we know there's really a negative 1. So this really says negative 1/2 x. And then 14 divided by 2 is 7. Okay, go ahead, do your y-axis, and we graph the y-intercept. So on the y-axis, go up to positive 7 and put a dot. And then it has a slope of -1/2. So -1 over 2. So your rise is -1 and your run is +2. So go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. So start at your y-intercept, go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. Or you can go up 1 backwards 2. Okay, look at the symbol to determine if we're going to put in a solid line or a dotted line. So there's no equal sign, so I need to do a dotted line. So connect that with a straight edge, but use a dotted line. So that means those points are not answers. They actually will not work. Okay, if there's an inequality, there's always going to be shading. So I need to figure out which side to shade. So we're going to use our test point for that. I'm going to test out 0, 0, and test it with the original equation. -14 plus 2y's is less than -x. So I get -14 plus 2 times 0, that's just 0, is less than -0. There's no such thing as -0, it's just 0. Okay, is -14 less than 0? Yes, it is. So 0, 0 is an answer. So shade the side that does have 0, 0 on it, because that is an answer. So any points on this side of the line are solutions. The points that are on the dotted line are not solutions. They do not work. Okay, you're going to work on number 2 by yourself. When you get to this -y, don't forget that really says -1y. So you need to get rid of that -1. Okay, when you got your equation or your inequality, you should have divided by -1. Once you divide by a negative, don't forget to flip your symbol. So your inequality should have been y is greater than 5x plus 3. And then I'm going to graph it. You should have a dotted line when you graph it. I'm going to use the test point of 0, 0, 0, because it's not on the line. Three is not less than 0, so shade the other side of the line. So your solutions are any point that's on this side, not on the line though, because it's a dotted line. Okay, I'm going to be passing out your activity for today. You're going to work on that. You can move around and work with other people. I'll have the answer key out. Tomorrow you'll have time to finish the activity. So if you don't finish it today, that's okay. It will be due on Wednesday though. So it's not due tomorrow, it is due by Wednesday.